Yourself complaining, oh my goodness, I have no time, or everything is going absolutely crazy and my life is out of order and it's hectic, and I always find myself running around trying to do so many things and I feel like I get nothing done. Hey, it's John with you today, and I want to speak to you a little bit about the importance of taking out time to think and organize our lives. It's going to be one of the greatest things that we ever do in our lives as far as time management. We can't create time, but we can utilize our time for the best benefit of everything that we have to do in our lives. There's a Bible verse that I read, and it says, and it's found in Psalms 90 verse 2, it says, "Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom." You know, there's so many things going on in our life, and we're running from this and that and getting the kids or doing this and fixing whatever it is. And I think we have to build a healthy respect of time. See, because one day we're going to realize, oh, you know what? It's almost over. No, I mean, like, it's really almost over. Like, everything is almost over. And we're going to look back on our lives. We're going to ask ourselves, you know, what did I really do with my life? Did I really accomplish anything? Did I really pursue the thing that God had designed me to do? And did I really make a difference in this world? You know, and we're going to reach a point in our life where time is going to come to the very end, whether you reach to 105 or whatever it is, you know, and we're going to have to ask ourselves, you know, did I really use my time well? So I want to speak to you today about using your time well and organizing yourself, and the importance of sitting and making time to think. Okay, there's this other Bible verse that says, "For there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens." And many of us know that that's in Ecclesiastes chapter 3. I want to speak to you about how just taking 15 minutes can change the course of your life and turn it from being hectic and crazy to organized and calm. See, there's a lot of benefits to taking out time. And I don't mean like, you know, on the run. I mean like totally separate time from your busy schedule. I suggest at the very beginning of your day, before everything starts to happen, and just recheck that list, you know, at the middle of the day and then right before you go to sleep. The most important time is that you have a starting point of 15 minutes. I promise you 15 minutes can really change the course of your life and make a major difference and impact on your schedule, on your emotions, on your stress level. Just taking out 15 minutes as a starting point. I want you to understand what that means. As a starting point, taking out 15 minutes, you may find that, you know what, taking out 15 minutes is really easy, and maybe you'll go for 30 minutes or 1 hour. They say that for every 1 minute that you take out for planning, it makes up for 10 minutes of application and makes that next 10 minutes very easy. So if you take out 15 minutes, if you take out 30 minutes, if you take out an hour of your time, just imagine how stress-free or more organized your day and your life can be. So let's make a starting point of 15 minutes to take out. I want to tell you some of the benefits of taking out time to think and just sit down and organize your thoughts and organize your life. Okay? Number one, if we leave everything in our head, you know, it's like everything's bouncing around, calling and pulling and tugging on us, and you get it out of your head. When you start to organize and put things on paper and put it in front of you, you take it out of your head and you get it on paper. And just that practice alone helps a lot of people just to de-stress, and anxiety just flies out the window, and stress, just everything begins to really pull together by getting it out of your head and putting it on paper. You begin to feel a sense of peace because there's no longer this great battle and war in your head. When you start to look at things on a piece of paper, it starts to give you a sense of direction and a plan. See, when we start putting our plans down and start organizing ourselves, see, just by seeing the things on a piece of paper, our brain begins to go into overdrive, not in disarray and disorder and chaos, but it begins to put the pieces together. and say, this has to get done. How can we get this done in an efficient way? And that's what one of the great benefits of organizing and making time to plan and think. Imagine you're going to go to a major event like a wedding or a celebration, and you pull out something from the drawer and it's all like wrinkled and stuff like that. Well, when you pull out that iron, you really straighten everything out, and you just take a couple of minutes to organize and just pull out those wrinkles. And you know what? For the rest of the night, you're going to look pretty good. Well, sitting down and taking time to think and organize your thought and your life does exactly the same thing. It helps take out the wrinkles and the stress and the chaos in our lives. Just a little bit of time can help to set a great direction for quite a good amount of time. Okay? And when you have everything on paper and you begin to organize your thoughts and think, you begin to have that ability to see what's important, what to prioritize, and what to eliminate completely. Because not everything that's pulling on your life is worth your time and your attention. A lot of times we have these false demands and false things that are priorities, but they're not really priorities at all. And if we just go in response mode and just react to everything that's going on around us, we're going to find ourselves exhausted at the end of the day and not have accomplished anything. I heard a story, and this family goes into a toy store, and the little kid there's a rocking horse and there's a toy there, and the kid says, "Oh, Mom, Dad, can I go on the rocking horse?" And it says, "All right, go ahead." And they allow the child to start rocking on the horse and rocking on the horse, and this kid is having a great time, and the parents step away for a little while, keeping an eye from a distance, and the parents come back like sometimes later, and the kid is still rocking on a horse and rocking on a horse and just really going at it, and he's building up a sweat and everything, and the kid is not getting anywhere. He's just rocking in the same place, but he's sweating. Sometimes our life is exactly the same thing. We find ourselves rocking and moving and doing all these crazy things and back and forth, but we're just in the same spot, building up a sweat and not really achieving anything. But when we take our time to think and organize our lives, it really gets us off that rocking horse or off that treadmill or off the wheel of repetitive action and not achieving anything, not getting a step closer to our goals and plans. You understand that? Okay, so ask yourself, what are the great benefits that the most important areas in my life, what were the great benefits that I would be able to see if I was to apply some great thinking and organizing to my life? How would my relationship with God improve if I would take time out and just say, how could I improve my prayer life? How could I improve the time that I take out to read my Bible and study and to grow and meditate and just relax and just soak in God's presence and just sit down and figure out, how you can schedule time, how you can organize your life and set a pattern and set a plan. Your relationship with God would improve like amazing. What about your relationship with other people? We have to sit down and start thinking, how is my marriage? How are things going with me and my children? What can I do differently? Or what mistakes am I making now? See, we have to sit back and set a time, even if it's just 15 minutes for a starting point, just to ask ourselves these important questions. Because we don't want to go 10, 15 years down the line with our relationships having bad habits and not growing deeper and closer to the people that we love. And our habits creating barriers and distance between us and the other people. See, we have to sit down and say, how can I improve this? But it doesn't happen by itself. You got to make time. You got to figure out, okay, you know what? These are the things I'm doing and saying. Are they helping or are they hurting my relationships? And you have to adjust accordingly. Sometimes you have to do more of a certain thing. Sometimes you have to do less of a certain thing. Sometimes you just need to eliminate some activities or choice of words or phrases that you use in your relationships. Sometimes there's things that you're totally not doing, and you need outside help and how to figure out how to incorporate those things into your relationships. I promise you, if you set out time to think about your relationships and organize yourself a little bit better, how to spend more time with your children so that they can really reap the benefits of having a loving parent with them, or your siblings or your friends, in a healthy way. Set out time to think about your relationships with other people. Then what about your health? How would your health benefit if you were to sit back and just think and organize yourself with your health regarding your eating plans? Maybe you're exercising. Maybe you're not sleeping well. Sometimes we're in such a rush that we don't sit back and realize, I'm only getting 5 hours of sleep every night. Maybe that's the reason why I'm extra stressed, or my body's kind of like always tired and exhausted, or maybe there's no mental clarity and I'm always like in a fog. We have to sit back and ask ourselves, how is my health, and what changes, what differences can I make? But it doesn't just happen overnight. And if we just let these things go in our health, we may realize after a couple of years that our body starts to break down, and there is an entry of disease or sickness or whatever it is, or limitation in our body, because we never sat down to think, how is my health? We have to take out time for that. But then, how would your job and your profession benefit if you were to take out time to think? Think about, what type of employee am I? Am I the employee that rushes through everything so that I can sit back and just relax for the last hour until I have to put my coat on and leave the job? Is that me? Or am I really utilizing every single minute of the day so that I can get my job done to the best of my ability with excellence? Am I growing at the job? Am I really fulfilling the responsibilities? But you need to really sit back and think and schedule time to organize yourself so you can better use your time, so you can grow as a person and learn new skills and become the best at your job, and just do everything with excellence in mind. What about your finances? How would your use of money, your saving strategies benefit if you just sat back and made time to organize and think? And what can you do differently in your finances? I promise you, it's going to really change your life. For you to write down all your expenses and say, you know what, we need to figure this out, because maybe there's more money going out than there's money coming in at the end of the month. But you're never going to figure this out. You're never going to come up with a strategy if you don't sit down and think and organize your life. So I want to give you some action steps, okay? First of all, I want you to separate 15 minutes of your day, every day, to organize and plan and think. Okay, let this be a starting point. Okay, and just make a decision that you're going to organize your life and you're going to take one step in the right direction. See, you don't have to change your whole life all at once, but if you just make one step in the right direction, it can make the whole difference and impact every area of your life in ways that you could have never imagined before. So let me give you some action steps, okay? So number one, take out a piece of paper and get ready to get it out of your head and put it on a page. Okay, number two, make a list of the important areas in your life. Okay, so make 5 columns, or maybe you just want to focus on one area for today. So let's say I want to focus on my relationships right now, my marriage, my siblings, my friends, whatever it is, your relationships. Okay, next thing, I want you to begin to pray. It's so important. Now, look what this Bible verse says in Proverbs 19:21. It says, many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. So one of the reasons why we go crazy sometimes is because we're off track. We're trying to make things happen that are not in line with God's purpose for our life. And we have to really get in tune with God and ask God, God, what is it that you want from my life? How do you want me to live this out? How do you want me to apply my purpose? We have to connect with God, or else we just get ourselves into a lot of mess and stress and unnecessary situations. Look at what this other verse says in Proverbs 16, verse 9. It says, in their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. So again, we have to connect with God and just get in line and just see how God wants us to play this out. Read your Bible, read the book of Proverbs. I mean, begin to absorb in wisdom and all the other books in the Bible, and just begin to learn and grow. And God is going to begin to direct you. Next thing, write down all the things that you have to do in your life in this particular area, or just everything in general. Begin to get it out of your head and put it on paper. Now, when you do that, I want you to make a number list, or ABC, or 1, 2, 3, and you begin to say, prioritizing what is the absolute most important thing that you have to get done. What can be eliminated, what can be delegated, and I want you to begin to make a list. This is the most important thing. And ask yourself this question: which one of these things must I do that will absolutely change this area in my life? And you prioritize that thing and get it done. Look what this other Bible verse says in Psalms 143, verse 8. It says, let the morning bring me word of your unfailing love, for I have put my trust in you. Show me the way I should go, for to you I entrust my life. We need to ask God, which areas in my life I need to delegate, I need to prioritize, I need to eliminate, and just really focus all your energy on these areas. Okay? Next step is begin to ask God for the power to get this done. So first of all, we get direction and purpose from God, and you write these things down and you put it and you make it clear. Now that it's on paper, now that you have the purpose, now ask God, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I want to fulfill your purpose in my life. I want to improve on my relationships that you have put in my life. God, I want to strive towards the goals and the purposes and the dreams that you have put in my life, God. So God, I need your help for this. I can't do this without you. And just begin to recognize that we can't do it without God. He gives us every single breath that we take every day. He gives us every morning. Great and new are his mercies every single day. And let's just acknowledge that. But you know what, God, if you gave this to me, I need you to help me to fulfill it and accomplish it. Okay? Proverbs 16:3, it says, commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. So we get the purpose from God first. Then we ask God, give me strength for this. I need it. I want to fulfill your will. And last but not least, you got the plan. You wrote it. You got it out of your head. You prioritize. You ask God for strength. Now get up and massive action. It's time to no longer thinking, no longer worrying, no longer planning. Now that you have it out of your head and on paper, you have a strategy, you have a plan, you have a system that works. And now it's time to get up and implement. It's time to make it happen. It's time to organize it. If it's your relationships, you know what? It's time to make it happen. It's time to make that quality time. Maybe it's time to say, I'm sorry, and that's your massive action. Maybe it's time to say, I love you, and that's your massive action. But maybe it's in your finances, and you say, you know what? It's time for me to stop visiting this place because I'm spending too much money. Or maybe it's in your health, and you say, you know what, maybe it's time for me to stop eating this, or I have to start exercising in this kind of way. Whatever it is that you have on that paper, that you have thought out, that you've organized, now it's time for massive effort, massive action. See, the reason why I want to speak to you today is I want to let you know that just 15 minutes of your time, just to sit down and think in a quiet area where you can focus, quiet area where you can pray, quiet area where you can organize your life. You can change the course of your life from disaster to massive blessing. God's purpose for your life, God's calling for your life. So I believe that you've been called for greatness. I believe that God has a purpose for your life, and the only way that we're going to move in that direction is for us to sit back, take time to think, organize your life according to God's plan for you, and implement. Make it happen. God bless you. This is John. encouraging you to go forward because you've been called for greatness.